All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. So first things first is we want to welcome you and thank you so much for sharing a portion of your day with us today as we talk about RedTeam Go and our product updates that we've had at the tail end of last year and some things that we've got coming up here as we round out Q1 of 2024. My name is Tracy Van Dalsum. I'm the Vice President of RedTeam Go. And we are excited to show you our releases that we've had. And we know that most of you on the call today are our RedTeam Go clients. And we appreciate you and want you to know how valuable your insights are in us continuing to help make RedTeam Go a leading industry tool for construction. So thank you for spending a small portion of your day with us today. Joining me, we have two representatives from our product engineering team, Ian McNabb, who is one of our project managers. He helps keep our projects moving on to production and getting them live to you as quickly as possible. And Krista Starr is also joining us, and she handles the write-up of our user stories and helps to test our product before we release them. And both Ian and Krista have been with the company for over 5 years. Krista, how many years have you been with the company now? 9? 10. 10-year anniversary. And Ian, I think you just had your 5-year anniversary. So
yeah, I'm the newbie.
yeah, the newbie. The very experienced newbie. Both of them have had different roles within the company over the span of sales, client experience, and now both in the product team. So I'm excited for them to share a little bit about what they've been working so hard to push live to you over the last few months. And again, worth mentioning, we want this to be interactive. We're going to have a couple of polls that we're going to be asking you some questions throughout the presentation today. And we want you to be able to submit your questions. So on your Zoom webinar toolbar, you've got a Q&A button where we want you to submit your questions to us. And we're going to answer questions on our topics for today. But if you have some questions on topics we're not going to cover, we do want to connect you with your client success manager and get you answers to those questions as well. So feel free to submit them. We may not get them answered to you live today, but we will follow up with you if you have those questions. So please submit them. Okay, some takeaways that we're going to have today we're going to be sharing some highlights from the recent releases that we've made to RedTeam Go over the last few months. And then we're also going to share some of the awesome enhancements that we're going to be releasing very soon. We love hearing from you and listening to your suggestions and requests that you have on how we can improve your experience in your day-to-day life. And so we have feature updates and we're not going to be able to discuss all of them today. We release small things periodically throughout the course of the quarters, but we're going to be highlighting today some of the larger releases that we've had that are very impactful to your day. So we will review what we completed at the end of 2023, and then we're going to be sharing about some upcoming releases that we have that you'll start to see as early as tomorrow, which we'll share in just a little bit, and then coming towards the end of March. How do we create the product roadmap? As we've mentioned, our time spent with you is very valuable, and listening to you and hearing from you is very important to us as well. So we have several things that we use throughout the course of the year to gather information from you. You guys talk to us regularly and give us your suggestions on things that you would like to see updated or enhanced. We have technical updates and maintenance that we're doing all throughout the year. We ask you guys surveys through different opportunities that we send emails and have user groups where you guys can take surveys and give us some feedback, as well as interacting with our client experience team from support and you guys sending in chats to our support team, and then talking with your implementation specialists as you're onboarding, and then your client success manager as you're going through your journey with us here as in your life cycle with us as a client. So we take all of those ways that you're interacting with us and we go through a suggestions process where we evaluate your suggestions and try to work in as many as we can into our product roadmap that give the biggest bang for the buck. How are we going to improve our product where it reaches our broad community of RedTeam Go users and has the most impact? And so we are able to make the changes that we make because of your feedback, and a lot of what we're going to see today are results from feedback that you've given us. So we're very grateful that you have made the investment in RedTeam And we're wanting to make the investment right back in making our construction management software one of the best in the industry. So thank you so much for that. I'm going to turn it over to Ian at this point, and he's going to share a little bit about RedTeam Go, and then he's going to dive into our updates that we've made. So Ian?
Yeah, thanks, Tracy. So if we've met before, hi again. My name's Ian. Great to be bringing you guys some of our latest releases. Before we get into those awesome new updates, I do want to kind of set the stage a little bit. So if you're looking into RedTeam maybe for the first time, or you're asking yourself, what is RedTeam Go? At a high level, we are an easy to use project management software designed to help simplify and automate, standardize tasks really for small to medium-sized commercial general contractors. If you're looking to save time and money, you want to get up and moving quickly with an established process, RedTeam Go is perfect for you. So just wanted to start off there. Tracy, if you want to take us to the next slide. Let's dive into what we've been working on and what we're bringing to you. So like Tracy said, these first few updates that we'll go through are already on your site today. They're already live, so you can go find them when we're done here. And then to finish, we'll cover a couple things that are still yet to come. So the first one we'll talk about today is our budget worksheet Excel export. So this update came directly from client feedback after the release of the budget worksheet last year. We knew pretty quickly afterwards that there was a big desire for you guys to be able to format that report for use in customer communication. So working with your owners, you may want to manipulate the data, show it maybe a little bit differently. And so we wanted to empower you to do that. We want to empower you really to use the budget in a way that makes sense for your business. And so we're giving you some flexibility there and really trying to make things more efficient for you in the office. So really, you'll notice that as a common theme as we move through. And this is going to allow you to take really a snapshot of your budget in time and share that externally as needed in an Excel file. If we want to go to the next one, we're just going to show you what that looks like. So if you haven't used it yet, we're just pulling your information directly into Excel, like I already mentioned. This is a snapshot in time. I want to make that clear. So at the top, you'll see that we've got our status. So the status that the budget was in when we did our export. In this case, it's locked. It may be unlocked. Also, we're showing all of our cost types, but maybe you had this filtered down to just material items. Whatever the use case there for you is, it'll work for you. It'll look just like it does on your budget page in RedTeam Go, is what the Excel export will look like. This does export as an XLS file that's compatible with Microsoft Excel and Google Sheets. So you're covered there, whichever one you prefer. So yeah, any questions on this just yet? This one's pretty straightforward. Any questions here?
It looks like we've got a great question. Can we export the budget worksheet multiple times?
For sure. So I think one of the best pieces of this is we can kind of take, like I said, snapshots. You'll hear me say that a lot, throughout the course of our project. So maybe we want to take it early on before we've even locked it and start working with it then. Maybe during the course of the project, we need to pull just our material budget and see what that looks like. So yes, anytime you need it, it's essentially taking a picture and putting it in Excel for you.
Perfect. And then the next question that we have, thank you for submitting this one, Susan. Do nested assemblies get exported with this feature?
They do not. So it'll just be the cost item with the cost item description that you used. And then obviously you can see here across the page your amounts. If I will say, I meant to mention this a second ago, if you had your forecast column on, it's kind of a newer feature in the budget. If you have your forecast column on, that will show, but not nested assemblies. No.
Oh, that's good information too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Tambra's got Tambra's got a good question here. Is the budgeted column what is awarded to the subs?
So Krista, I may get you to chime in on that one too. I believe that is what, yeah, we've come to after our bid, right? So we've got our bid amount that becomes the owner's amount and then the budgeted column.
So it could be what you budget if you award that to a sub when the budget is unlocked. So the same way that it was in We'll Start Soon. You may be awarding it to a sub at that time, but it may also just be the amount that you put into that when you're doing your buyout. The current column may also be what you award to your sub. So it could be what you award to the sub, but it may also just be whatever amount you put in that column before you lock your budget. So the answer is it could be what you lock down, but it may also not be. It may just be what you did for buyout at that time before you locked your budget.
Yep, so the budgeted column is where we input the value as we're going through the buyout process. It's the value that we intend to spend in our construction budget before we click on the lock button to lock the budget. So great question, Tamara, thank you. Okay. It doesn't look like we have any other questions here. Let's
jump to the next one. So let's show some love to our friends in accounting, shall we? So this one, we're pretty excited about these next couple of updates, obviously. With this one, we want to allow, we had a lot of requests, I should say, over the years to be able to change the application date on a sub invoice before it goes over to QuickBooks. So in this one, the idea is just to really give the accountant more control over which period that the bill appears in once it gets over there. So we want to give you a way to set that back in RedTeam Go and have that information pull forward. The idea there is just to lead to better accuracy and really less manual work for accounting. Before this update, you had to go into QuickBooks and manually change the date. Now it's just going to be part of your standard acceptance workflow as you go to accept these bills. Now this is, I want to point out, only for QuickBooks users. Online and desktop are both good to go here, but it is only for QuickBooks. And yeah, do we want to go to the next slide? Tracy, we'll kind of talk about what that looks like. So it's the same workflow, no big change there. We did just add a new date cell, which you can see in the image to the top left. So in this use case, I've got a subcontractor's invoice from 2023 that is being approved and accepted in 2024. So we're going to autofill the date. That's what we've always done with the date that it was accepted. And now that can be changed, which is the date picker that you see there. Note again in the top left image that it's going to autofill with today's date and that the actual pay up in the background is showing February 12th, 2024, but I'm selecting a date in December. And then at the bottom right, you can see in QuickBooks Online, that date populated in the correct spot and the correct date that I asked for. So this is going to show up in the right billing period in my accounting software. And this is a view for QuickBooks Online, but like I said, this is good in QuickBooks Desktop as well. Okay, any questions on that one?
same workflow there, but it does, QuickBooks Desktop and online, the screens do look just a little bit different.
Yeah. So on the Go side, there's really no change to your workflow, just a new date cell. And then I'm using online as my example.
Perfect.
Question.
All right. Yeah. Questions?
Yes. So there's a question. What's the benefit of integrating RedTeam Go and QuickBooks?
Oh, that's a good question.
It's a good one.
That's a loaded one.
It's a big one.
There are lots of benefits to integrating with QuickBooks. We do integrate with QuickBooks Desktop and online. QuickBooks is making changes to their desktop options. So they have sunset the majority of QuickBooks Desktop options and left 2 for us to be able to integrate with. But they have stopped supporting a lot of the prior versions of QuickBooks Desktop and limited that down to 2. So we do still have a QuickBooks integration with the 2 remaining QuickBooks Desktop products. And then we also have an integration with QuickBooks Online. And the integration works the same, whether you have desktop or online, but it takes a lot of the manual entry that you do for transactions and allows you to enter them in RedTeam Go first. And then it pushes the details over into QuickBooks. So if we're approving a subcontractor bill, those push over into the vendor bill area over in QuickBooks. If we're approving an expense that we've paid for with a credit card and we've got our credit card statements mapped into QuickBooks, it's going to push the expense right over to our credit card register. So we can say, well, the credit card statement says I went to Home Depot and spent $50 on Tuesday. And here is my expense from RedTeam Go pushing over that says I went to Home Depot and spent $50 on Tuesday. Let's match those together. And so it becomes a really easy way for you to reconcile your credit card statements, making sure that everybody's got their RedTeam Go expenses created. So it's a good check and balance. But mainly for accountants, it's just saving you time. There's no double entry. If you put it into RedTeam Go first and let it push over, then you'll have all of your job costs tracked in RedTeam Go, and those should be pushing over to QuickBooks so that your job cost statements actually match a little bit better. So that lots of benefits to the system, but mainly time savings is the key there. Great question. Any other questions that we have?
So there is another question about when things push over to QuickBooks. And the answer for that one might be slightly different. Depends on which transaction it is.
Yeah. Well, just super high level. That's a great question on how transactions move over. Everything has a trigger point in the system that causes, like when we hit this point, this is what triggers the information to move over to QuickBooks. And most of the time, it's the approval process. So when a purchase order is approved, that triggers it to move over to QuickBooks. When expenses are approved and accepted, they push over, and same with expenses, same with owner bills. It's on that approval processes. So we are still giving accountants the ability to have the final say of when we're going to trigger those items to push over to QuickBooks. So that's a great question. Thank you.
All right. Any others?
Oh, we've got lots of questions on QuickBooks. So another good one, does contact information change? There are settings when we set up your QuickBooks integration. There's a setting where if you don't want information to change in QuickBooks, you can check a box that says we will not. If a contact person changes, for example, in RedTeam Go, and we don't want that to change anything over in QuickBooks, you'll check a box and we can make sure that that doesn't update as items move over. So that's a great question. We could spend a whole 30 minutes going over QuickBooks integration. So if you have more questions on the QuickBooks integration specifically, we would, as you can probably not tell, I'm not passionate at all about the integration, but we love talking about it. We love having this feature and the time savings that it provides. And so we would be happy to follow up with you and talk to you more about a QuickBooks integration if you use QuickBooks today and are not integrated. We'd love to have those conversations. So just drop us a message with the company that you are with, and we will reach out to you after the webinar and see if we can connect and talk a little bit more about QuickBooks. All right, let's go
Sweet.
on to the next fun thing.
Let's do it. We are not done with accounting updates. We got one more. So this is a new transaction type that we're introducing. This is going to be only for QuickBooks Online users. So Tracy was just talking about the difference in the two. Unfortunately, with QuickBooks Desktop being sunset, this transaction type is not supported in QuickBooks Desktop, but for online users, it is there. And this update is really just to allow credit card credits. It's going to trip me up. To be created from RedTeam Go and integrate directly into QuickBooks Online. Previously, we didn't have a way to create that transaction. So when Tracy was using her example of giving home, making sure that our expenses line up in both, we didn't have a way to put money back on that credit card if maybe we return something to the Home Depot. So this transaction type is going to allow you to do that via expenses. I'll show you a little bit more about what that looks like here in just a second. The goal here is just to increase flexibility for your transactions and give you more efficiency for obviously your whole accounting team. So we don't want you bogged down in manual processes between the two. That's the beauty of the integration, is it should be all pretty streamlined. So next we'll talk about how to create that type of transaction. Tracy, if you want to. Sweet. So top left of your screen, you're starting the process here by creating an expense. And at a high level, you're just creating a negative expense in RedTeam Go and selecting any credit card as the payment type. As long as it's mapped to your QuickBooks Online account, you'll be able to reconcile the two and create this type of transaction. I do want to really quickly talk about the difference in vendor credits and credit card credits. There could be a little confusion there. So a credit card credit is the new transaction type, and that's going to return funds to a specific card account that you're keeping track of in QuickBooks Online. A vendor credit we've had for a while, and that just returns funds to a specific vendor. So for this process, like I said, the top left image will select our credit card there. You see to the right of that, I've created my expense for negative $600 in RedTeam Go. And then once that's accepted by the accountant in RedTeam Go, it'll push over into QuickBooks Online. So you see that lower image. I've got it highlighted there. If you check the type column, it reflects the credit card credit. Any questions on that process?
This is one, of course, that was recommended by our clients in needing this functionality. So this is a great addition that we've been able to add and then be able to push to anybody who has our QuickBooks Online integration. So this was a great suggestion, and what a big benefit this is going to be. So
yeah, this one's great. When you're trying to compare, like Tracy was just talking about, between QuickBooks, making sure those numbers align, we know how important that is. So we want to keep doing things that are going to keep your numbers correct on both sides.
yeah, and it's important to, if you're noticing that things aren't quite going to the right places over in QuickBooks, it could be because the mapping of your payment methods in your QuickBooks settings may not be set correctly. And so I would encourage you, if you haven't taken a look at your QuickBooks settings page in a while, to click on your accounting tab, go to your QuickBooks Online integration, and then up at the top of your menu bar, you have a settings page. So click on settings and then scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. And on the bottom right-hand side is where, or left-hand side, sorry, is where you're going to see your payment methods, and make sure that those are mapped to the correct QuickBooks accounts that you have set up. So the credit card probably goes to a credit card account. If you've got a vendor credit, that probably is going back to accounts payable. So you want to make sure that you've got those set properly in your settings if you haven't taken a look at those in a while. Just good housekeeping. You may add some payment methods and they may not be mapped. So good housekeeping for accountants to go in there and periodically look at settings and just make sure they're up to date.
All right. Any questions before we move on?
Vendor, we do have a question. Do vendor credits move over to QuickBooks? Vendor credits do move over to QuickBooks. It's just important that we have the vendor credit set up as a payment method in your expenses module. And then we're going to map the vendor credit over to your accounts payable. So again, if that's something that we need to look at with you, send us a message and we can make sure that we connect with you after the webinar and just make sure your settings are set correctly. Wonderful.
Good deal.
All right. Okay, let's keep moving.
All right, now we're going to move into the future. So Tracy, if you want to jump to the next one, these are updates that are coming. So everything we showed you before is already on your site. You can go play with it today. These are coming soon. The first one we're going to start with is the ability to import a spreadsheet of your estimate into RedTeam Go. Before we dive in too deep here, though, we're going to have a poll question for you. So Tracy's going to keep an eye on the results of that, and we'll probably talk about that here in just a second. All right, so while you guys are answering that poll question, I'm just going to kind of cover the high level here. This one, why would we build this, right? So we have had quite a few requests from you guys for the ability to import your spreadsheet where you do your pricing for your estimating into RedTeam Go, and then let us take it from there, right? We've got great bid invitations. We've got a great proposal tool to build your proposal for the owner, but really getting over that first hump of getting your pricing in. So we're going to allow you to import your spreadsheet with your pricing directly into the system. We had a couple qualifiers for that. We knew that if we wanted to do this, we wanted it to be really simple. So it's going to be just 3 really quick and easy steps to follow. And then second, we felt that errors and import issues really needed to be resolved on screen. So if you've used our contact importer, you've probably had it before where you go to import your spreadsheet, you had an issue on it, maybe a line wasn't correct, there was an error. We email you, you have to re-import the file after you fixed it, and that's kind of a pain, right? So with this new module, you're going to be able to resolve any of those issues right on screen, never having to leave. And that was really important to us as well. This update is coming mid to late March. So we're going to have more information on this one, not quite as deep of a dive today. Information, training, obviously, help articles and those things will be coming. So stay tuned for that. Again, pushing ease of use and efficiency here. I told you there would be a theme. Yeah, so we're really excited to get this one out. Like I said, think late March is probably when we'll most likely have this one out. And yeah, with that, Tracy, how is that poll looking?
Yeah, it's awesome. Most of you are currently doing your estimates in RedTeam Go. We had 58% of you doing them in RedTeam Go, 42% of you doing them in spreadsheets. So for the 42% of you that this is going to be awesome for, you're welcome.
Yes. Yeah, 42%. That's a good number. Yeah, this
Yeah.
will really help you guys out. Like I said, that first hump where we want to take away the manual step there of having to type it in. That's where you get errors and that's where you get some risk. We want to mitigate all that, let you import that thing straight in.
Yeah.
So that'll be great.
And we know that magic Excel spreadsheets exist.
Yes,
Everybody,
we
I
are
hate
aware. We did not invent
everybody has one.
construction bidding.
So hopefully this will allow you to continue using your magic Excel spreadsheet and then just take that information and be able to very easily import that into the estimate, because all projects in RedTeam Go start in the bidding module with the estimate. So whether you use it inside the system or started in an Excel spreadsheet, you've got to put the budget in. So this is just saving you that manual step and being very simple to do that. So yay, we're very excited about this. We've been wanting to do it for several years. And so it is coming. So we're excited.
We'll be reaching out with more info on this one before you get it. We won't blindside you. So just keep an eye on your inbox.
Yes. All right.
All right. This next one, this is what I'm most excited to share today. I've been looking forward to this. So this is our new owner contract module upgrade, I guess is a way to put it. So this one's actually coming very soon. With this project, we're giving you guys, the GC, total control over your owner contracts process. There will be a place in administration where you set up your boilerplate, and that flows all the way through the project level. We've been trying to do that more, give you more flexibility and the ability to manage some of this stuff on your own. The goal here, we're going to increase efficiency, give you control over your own workflow, and really just apply general appearance and functionality improvements to that owner contract writing process. If you've used ours before, you know what I'm talking about. We need a little facelift there. So we've really redesigned it from top to bottom. A couple of key things to remember. One, we're no longer waiting on support and programming on the RedTeam Go side to manage your contract boilerplate. So any customizations you needed to have done to your owner contracts, you're gonna be able to do those yourself without having to wait on us. You're gonna be able to change the order that you want sections to appear in, the text within that contract boilerplate, and then of course edit that on the project level like you can today. With that means that there will be no more paying for new contracts or modifications to your existing contracts. So that's a thing of the past. And then we've implemented some new features, again, based on your feedback and your suggestions. We've got things like a checklist for before we go for signatures, the ability to request a signature first before the GC signs it. We can ask our owner to sign first. And we've enhanced some attachment uploads. And like I said, just a general appearance upgrade as well. So we've got a few slides dedicated to this. We'll kind of move forward now and give you a sneak peek of what it looks like. And then we'll talk some release timelines and what to expect next here towards the end. So the page you're looking at now, this is going to be the project level. This will really be your landing page when you go to owner contracts and get ready to start to write that document. It's built to be familiar. If you've used our owner billing module before, we're not reinventing the wheel here. We want it to be very clear and easy to navigate. We don't want you to have a big learning curve for this module as it rolls out. We know how important contracts are to you. You can see I'm listing my contracts there to the left. Any contract you have in the old module today will be on your site here day one. So we're not going to have to redo anything. It'll be waiting for you. If you have licensed contracts, third-party contracts like consensus docs, those will be there too, as well as, like I said, any customizations you've got. We'll include those here. Those will be live on your site when this gets deployed to you. For this project, I've just got a couple basic contracts. And then you notice that I do have my contract auto-filling with project info, so no big changes there. I can modify my agreement date, my start and end dates, and add any alternates, units, or phases on this page as well. Tracy, if you want to jump to the next one. So you're still going to be able to edit your contract. So today we can edit each section, right? But we're giving you a little more power. So with this update, we're going to allow you to change the order that the sections appear in. That's kind of the image back into the left there. We can add new sections. We can remove sections. We can change the order, and you can do this all yourself. The items on the left side of the screen, that should also feel pretty familiar to you. If you've used our proposal writer before, you just drag those in, drop them where you want them. A lot of these functionalities came directly from feedback as well. The need for page breaks. So when you print your contract, if you don't like where a line breaks on the page, you put a page break below it and it'll keep everything together. Blank sections, and then multiple signature lines we've also added so that you can sign in multiple places if you need to. Also, of course, we're preserving the ability to change the text within a section. So that's the image sort of on the right. However, we did add some new data fields where you can just easily drag and drop project information into the text wherever you need it. So like I've got contractor license number here. I'm sure some of you guys can recite your license number, but I would say some of you would probably go look that up. I know I would have to. And so instead of having to go find it, come back and copy paste it in, I can just drag that information directly into the document. Pretty cool stuff there. And then I did mention earlier, we can now sign the contract first, which we've always been able to do, but we can now do request signature, that button there at the top. That means I'm going out to my owner and saying, hey, you first. We had a few requests for that. We know that not all workflows are equal. Not everybody does it the same way. So again, just trying to be more flexible there for you. All right, Tracy, the last slide, if you want to hit the next one. So I just threw a bunch of things that I love about this update, some really cool new things that we're doing that I just wanted to make sure we showed off. The first one, the top left image, that is our signature checklist. And this is checking all that required information that you need before you get a signature on this and letting you know if you're missing anything. So if I was missing a project start date or I was missing our completion date, something like critical like that, it's going to call it out and won't let you sign if you're missing some of that. It's also counting up your alternates, phases, and units. So you know I had 3 alternates. If I don't see those here, there's a problem. I need to go back. Below that, we've got our new signature stamp. Definitely an improved appearance if you remember what the old one looks like. We've also implemented a signature ID if you look there below the verified stamp. This is going to just help us improve tracking and visibility for you. We're also collecting data in the background as to who signed, when they signed with an exact timestamp. So if you ever need us to help you reconcile when did this get executed, we'll be able to help you with that. And then on the right side of the page, we've got our new attachment upload tool. So this is, again, just some added flexibility here, in this case with contract attachments. We want you to be able to add attachments to the contract document itself. Those are embedded attachments, but then also linked attachments, which is relatively new. But that's in case you want your owner to be able to see a page at the end of the contract where they can just hit a link or a URL and take them to that file. So just a couple of options. You can decide where you want them to show up, how you want your attachments to appear at the end of the contract. With that, that's most of what I've got to show you for owner contracts. I do just want to highlight one more time, shameless plug here. Everything you've seen today, for the most part, has come directly from your suggestions. So the requests you put in when you talk to your support rep or to your client success manager, we take those seriously. We review all of them. And as we're building out this new functionality, we try our best to incorporate as much of that as we can, to do as much as we can for as many people as we can. Now, as far as release schedule, when are you going to see this? When will this be on your site? The majority of you guys will have the new module available on all projects in the next 2 weeks, or excuse me, on all new projects in the next 2 weeks. So the vast majority of our clients will have it by the end of day next Friday. We're doing one release this week. So as Tracy kind of alluded to at the beginning, you're going to wake up tomorrow, and if you create a brand new project and go to write a contract on it, for some of you, you'll be in this new module. The next week, even more of you will be, and we're going to keep doing that. And our commitment is to have everyone in the new module by the end of March, so the end of Q1. That includes folks with licensed third-party contracts like consensus docs, or if you had a customization, we're going to take care of you. You'll be notified before this goes live so that you have warning. And then, like I think I already mentioned, it'll be like the budget worksheet project last year. This new module is only going to show up on new projects moving forward. So if you're currently writing a contract, don't worry. You can finish it in the old module. We're not going to drop this on top of you. And then I would be crazy to not shout out our support team, our training and implementation teams. They've already got help articles and videos live for this. So if you want to hit the chat bubble on your site or go to the profile where the drop down goes to the Learning Center, all these articles and help and videos actually are already there. So you can check those out. And then Tracy will talk more about this in a minute. We have a webinar already scheduled. That'll be a training webinar for the owner contracts upgrade on March 7th. And we'll have some information on how you can sign up here at the end. I've given you a lot. I've thrown a lot at you. So I want to pause there. Do you have any questions about really anything I've showed you today, but especially as it pertains to owner contracts? Let's see.
Ian, we have a good question on if we want to go back and show, like, can we have multiple owner contracts?
You sure can. So one of the best parts to me about this update is that you no longer have to come to us and say, I need this new custom contract programmed. We no longer have to charge you for it. You can create as many custom contracts as you want. That'll be done in administration. So an administrator at your company has to do it. You'll be able to name it whatever it needs to be named. We're essentially going to create a copy of our boilerplate contract that comes with every site, and you can then modify it however you want, change it however you want. It can be whatever name you need it. I think it's a great great use case for that would be if you're doing fast food and you've got a McDonald's contract and you've got a Chick-fil-A contract and you need multiples of those. That's a great way to do it. And then that'll be ready when it comes into the project level. It'll have all the boilerplate there waiting for you.
Yeah. Ooh, we've got a couple of other good questions too. Is the contract checklist user or company defined, or is that RedTeam Go's checklist that we provide for all users?
So we're providing that for all users. It'll be the same for all. So Tracy, if you want to skip forward a couple, one more. There we go. So these are going to be required. This is going to be for all users. So it's not a custom list. And it's just those things really, if you notice at the top of the page when we went to build the contract. So your project start date, agreement date, substantial completion, those things that you've got to have in there to make that a binding document. We want to make sure we've got your back, mitigate more risk, and make sure that that we're covering you. Obviously, retainage can be zero. So those aren't required to have a value. However, all of your dates do need to be there. And then to me, just as importantly, if we've got alternates, units, and phases, we're going to remind you how many of those we're pulling into the contract as well.
Awesome. All right.
What else we got?
We had a question on subcontracts and whether the attachments was going to apply to subcontracts. Subcontracts is coming in the future. We are going to be moving to subcontracts at some point and be able to apply similar technology to what we're doing here with the owner contracts to subcontracts when we get to that stage. But eventually,
so we're starting with owner contracts. You generally got one, maybe two of those on a project, right? There are a lot of subcontracts, so we're gonna put this one out, take your feedback on it, and then yes, obviously, the goal is to move on to subcontracts in the future.
Yeah, great questions. All right. Well, that pretty well rounds up our updates to you guys. There's more, we've got more feature updates that we've done at the end of Q3, and it's kind of continuing every other month. We're trying to do small releases on either suggestions that you've made or enhancements that we're putting out. And so we just don't have enough time to cover all of those. So we have some resources available for you. So that if you click on the webinar resource hub QR code that you see on screen right now, that's going to take you to being able to see some of the feature updates that we have done that we didn't have time to cover today. The third QR code is the owner contract training that we're going to do, that webinar Ian mentioned on March 7th. If you want to register for that, pull out your phone right now, and that's going to take you to a quick link to sign up for that webinar. We are going to have two of them. We're going to do the first one on the 7th, and then we're going to do it again towards the end of March, since it is coming in batches and waves. We know that you may not be able to make it to the first one, so we want to be able to offer it twice for everybody. So click to sign up for there. We're going to go in depth on the owner contract module. For those of you that have custom owner contracts, there is an approval process that we need to go through with you, where you're going to review the contract language, make sure that it's written exactly how you want it, and then you have an approve button to click on before your contract is going to be available for you. So we've tried to set up times to meet individually with those of you that have custom owner contracts. If you're ready to review that and get that process started, we'd love to meet with you and help you through that process. But you will see that as soon as we push those live to our clients that have custom owner contracts. So be on the lookout for that. We're going to go over that in your owner contract module training that's coming up. And then we have our Red Teams events page. This is where we keep all of our on-demand webinars that we've already had, as well as list the events that we have that are upcoming. So we post on there any of our upcoming training webinars and any product webinars that we have similar to this, so that you guys can take a look at what we've got going on and go ahead and sign up for those from our events page. So that is, if you go to redteam.com and click on events and resources, that gets you to our list, and this QR code is going to take you right there. So we've got a lot of resources available right now for the owner contract module, as Ian said. All of our brand new clients already have the new feature, and they have since earlier last year. And so we've got those videos and knowledge base instructions already posted up in our knowledge base for you guys. So if you want to get a little precursor to our webinar coming on March 7th, it's already there live for you. All right. Well, as we close today, I just wanted to open it up and see if anybody has any last minute questions before we close our webinar today. We do have another poll, I think, that we're going to launch at this time. And so team, if you want to go ahead and launch that poll. We are working towards more updates all the time, of course. One of the next upgrades that we're going to make to the system is going to be on change orders. And so we would love to know if you're interested in being a part of the beta testing group for our, it's not really testing, but the beta group. If you want to get your hands on it and check it out and provide us with your feedback before it gets released to the masses, we love hearing from you. If you have time to participate with us and give us your feedback, please just let us know, and we'll be in contact with you and get you a part of that to have an early look. And then we'll take your feedback and probably make some tweaks and changes to it before we release it to all of our clients. But that is something coming later this year. And so we want to give you an opportunity to participate with us in that. Okay, well, thank you so much. Again, your participation with us and giving us your feedback helps us to make our construction management software better and better. And so we could not do it without you. So we're very grateful and thankful that you are investing in RedTeam and that we're able to provide you with these updates. We'll continue to give you some quarterly updates on product releases that we're making. So we hope that these are of a benefit to you. We want to hear from you about what is benefiting you. What are the resources and what are the materials and what are the things that you need to hear about? And so we are going to ask, as we close our webinar today, for you to take another survey as it closes out and let us know what you want to hear about. That helps us to plan these webinars and give you information that's valuable to you. So be looking for that to come as well. And thank you again for joining us today. If you have any questions, don't hesitate at all to chat with us and let us know. You can send those suggestions directly to us, and we'll get back with you as soon as we can. We hope you have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.